All right, gotta remember how to do this. Don't worry, it's tea, not coffee. I'm trying to sleep tonight. All right, what is up, everybody? It feels so good to be back on the channel talking to you all. It has been a hot second, and first off, I just want to go on the record and say that Joshua did not replace me, as Caleb jokingly funny mentioned in a previous video a couple months back. Joshua was actually replacing Kearns, and I've just kind of been off doing other stuff here at Moment. But I am coming to you guys today because I have some pretty exciting news. We just launched a new lesson all about cinematic lighting with Danny Gevirtz, who is an up-and-coming sick YouTuber who has a really extensive background in cinematography. His whole mantra is a home for young filmmakers, and his whole lesson is his entire framework, what he does on every shoot to achieve a cinematic look. So if you are looking to take your footage to the next level, learn how the pros get their footage to look insane, then this is the lesson for you. I mean, the whole reason this shot looks halfway decent is because I was able to shoot Danny's lesson and was able to kind of use some of his framework for this shot specifically. This right here is a nighttime interior, and the whole video that you're about to watch is a daytime interior. So if nothing else, sit back, relax, watch this free snippet and learn from Danny himself. And if you want to learn more, then check out his lesson, and I'll see you guys next time. I don't know when next time will be because it's great to see you guys and enjoy the video. Kind of forgot how to close these out, but yeah, enjoy it.
So in this section, we're gonna do a daytime interior. We're gonna start in the living room of this space. It's this giant, beautiful living room, like really nice textured walls that are absorbing light for us. We don't have white walls or light. It's just bouncing all over the place. So right away, we have a good place to start. There's not a ton that is out of our control. And with a limited amount of gear, that's always good for us. So where is the light coming from? Just like right away in this room. It's coming from these windows. Daylight is just punching through these windows, the window up top, these skylight windows. There's light pouring in from behind us here. So what are we able to control? What light source are we able to not control? So what we can control is the light coming from outside, but that is what we're using to motivate our light source. Our motivating light source is the light that is coming from those windows. So once we frame up our shot, we see our motivating light source in the shot. We're giving it reference to where it is in relationship to where our subject is. But here's the deal, like right now our highlights are just blowing out and the interior of the space is super dark. So we don't wanna lose information in our blacks, we don't wanna lose information in our highlights because that's like a very amateur thing to do, is to just like give no thought at all to that information in your highlights and just blow them out. So we don't wanna do that, but again, we're not able to control how much light is actually coming in from outside. So what can we do in this situation? So I have my frame. This is what I'm liking. I have my motivating light source, that back window, behind my subject. We're showing where our motivating light source is in relationship to our subject. But as you can see, we're blowing out the highlights from outside, and the inside is looking pretty dark. So in this situation, I wanna bring up the overall level of the interior. I want to bring up the ambience in the room so everything's not so dark, but when I do that, I drop 2 stops of ND. Like now I'm liking where everything is on the interior, but I'm absolutely blowing out everything that's outside. And because I can't control how much light is coming from outside, I'm like sitting here like, what should I do? So what you can do in this situation, this house luckily came with window shears. And if you don't have window shears, maybe go out and buy some, they're super cheap. And it's something that you're gonna use on pretty much any time you light an interior. Like you'll always have these to bring with you. Buy like a spring rod, buy some really cheap window shears. And what they're gonna do is not only bring down the overall ambience that is coming through that window, we're not blowing out the highlights anymore. It's not just this like white square of informationless, like whiteness in the middle of our scene. We have some texture now. It automatically makes your image look like a much more balanced shot. So in wide shot interiors, a lot of times what you want to do to create more contrast ratios, if this is the ambience, the shadow side is still feeling a little too lifted for you, what you can do is neg everything that is behind the camera. And by neg, I mean negative fill, I mean taking away light. So right now behind the camera, we have a door that's wide open. We have windows that are letting in light, and all that light is coming in and filling in the shadow side of our subject. So if you don't like where the ambience is right now and you want the contrast ratios to be a little higher, you want the image to just look a little more contrasty, we're gonna cut out all the light that is coming from the outside world that's behind the camera. Sorry. Oh God, ours just seems so much higher than last time. Yeah, if you're on a low budget, make sure you get a lot of gaff tape. It's kind of the savior to all circumstances. And what we're taping up right now is black duvetine, I guess is what you would call this material. I go through probably like a roll of gaff tape a week because of all my crappy rigs that I make these days. What is this reflection of light? So something else that we can't control right now are these skylights. We just don't have a ladder or anything to go up and cover those up. So we're just gonna let them rip. We have the window shears over our motivating light source, creating texture. So it's not just like an informationless space in the middle of our scene, but we're still able to show in our exterior, establish where our light is coming from. We blacked out all the light coming from the shadow side of our subject, the fill side. We're eliminating all that fill that was coming in from these windows behind me with these black sheets of duvetine. So we're getting nice contrast ratios. And as you can see, the light is coming through because we're backlighting our subject. You're getting that nice little outline of our subject, creating that separation that we need from, you know, the light coming in from the window to the black curtain to this little lit up sliver on Niall's face to the shadow side of Niall back to, you know, this lit up portion on the couch. And you're seeing this repeating pattern of light and dark because we're backlighting our subject. So one thing I'm seeing is that there's a lamp behind Niall, and I'm gonna flick that on real quick because that is a tungsten bulb, and that tungsten bulb is gonna add another element of depth. It's gonna add color depth. It's gonna be an orange tungsten light playing with the blue, cool daylight that is coming in from the outside world. So I'm gonna flip that on right now. It's nice that it's on a dimmer too. You don't usually have that luxury. I'm just gonna put it all the way up at 100% intensity for now. So that's looking really nice. It's adding that color contrast between the tungsten light and the cool daylight. It's behind Niall's, so again, we have another element backlighting Niall's, creating more separation between his dark shirt and that bright spot that that lamp is creating, and it's just giving a little more life to that back corner. So that's all I really want to do for our wide shot. Like, we've established where our motivating light source is and the direction that that light's coming from. We established where our person is in the room. And now when we move in for the close-up, we're gonna bring in our artificial lights just to help make Niall's face look a little sweeter for the camera. And we're gonna take that window light and just ever so slightly wrap it around Niall's face. All right, so I'm gonna frame up again to a point where our subject, in this circumstance, Niall's, is between the camera and our motivating light source. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna pull Niall's and cheat him away from the wall a little bit. We established where he was already by the wide shot. So when we come in for the tight, like people still have that perception in their head of where he is, but because of movie magic, we're able to cheat him away from the wall. And what that's going to do is create more separation between our subject and the wall, and creating more focus on our subject in a blurrier background. So just like ever so slightly, I always love to just pull the couch away from the wall. That might be a little much. Cool. And take a seat here towards the front of the couch. So I'm lining up my shot to the point where I'm not even showing our motivating light source anymore. We don't need to show it. We've established through our wide shot where our light is coming from. So I'm lining up Niles to the point where he is right where the L of the room is meeting, because that's going to give us the most amount of depth in our composition. And I'm going to move this lamp so we can see it and he's not blocking the light anymore. Actually, what I might do is I might prop this light up a little higher, because I don't think we're going to see the bottom of the light. And with our tight shot, we can do a lot of cheating with our tight shot. I'm even going to move this table just completely out of there. We know it's there just because of our wide shot, but I want to create the most amount of space as possible for when we move our lights in here. This looks like it's going to be hit. Super heavy. I think it's empty. My key light is going to be a Namlite Forza 500, which is a nice strong light, but you don't need a light this strong for this situation, because the overall ambience in the room isn't that high to begin with. But this is just what I own, so it's what I'm gonna use. It's okay if you don't own a light this nice, because I've been doing this a lot longer than you probably have. Or not. Sorry if you're terrible. So I like my key light always to be soft, and right off the bat, without this little mini soft diffusion box on this light, it's a hard light source. So this is a first initial layer of break to make the light softer, but I'm going to bring in another layer of diffusion to make it even softer, because I like nice flattering soft light to be on my subject's face as it wraps around from the light side to the shadow side of their face. So this is the same silk that we're using to diffuse the sun outside. And you can really diffuse with any material that allows light to pass through it. I'm just using this because this is one of my favorite frames to use indoors. It's a nice, it's a large size, but it's small enough to where it's not like a giant hassle indoors. So I want to position this to where it's as close as possible to my subject with it just being out of frame. The closer this source is to my subject, the bigger it is relative to my subject, and the bigger the source, the softer the source. I'm gonna say that like every single scene. So I'm positioning my diffusion frame to a point where it is upstage of our subject. It's upstage of our subject because we still want it to be backlighting, but we want it to be a point where it's wrapping that natural light coming from our motivating source around our subject's face to bring the levels of his face up for our camera to make it look a lot more flattering, because without our diffusion frame right now, it's actually doing something right now, so I'm gonna move it out of frame. So now it's bouncing light. This is the thing about light, like even if I move this here, it's doing something to the frame. So without our diffusion frame in here, we have our motivating light source behind. It's backlighting our subjects, and we're getting that nice contrast between dark right here in this back wall. We then have our practical, our lamp, creating a light space, and it goes to dark again. Then there's that nice layer of light on our subject's face, then dark again, then light, then dark, just repeating over and over again. So I'm going to now get my light and get my diffusion frame. I'm gonna place those at a place where it's upstage of my subject. I want my light source that I'm bringing in to be between my motivating light source and my subject, but from the upstage, because I'm backlighting. And I don't want to bring my light around to the front side, because that's just going to flatten out my subject's face. It's going to flatten out the image, and there's going to be no depth. So I want my light and my last source of diffusion to end up upstage of my subject, just to help wrap that motivating light source around his face into the shadow side. So I'm going to grab my diffusion frame now, which is going to end up being my final source. And here I'm placing it between my subject and the motivating light source, the window.
All right, everybody, so that wraps up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed that free segment of Danny's lesson. And again, if you want to learn more, check out the full lesson. Go check out some of Danny's work, and we'll see you guys next time, whenever that may be. Cool. YouTube videos. It's been a minute. See ya.